There has been one question that has really been consistent, whether it's been on my Instagram or my Facebook or on my YouTube platform now. People have been asking me, how is it that I'm selling so much artwork, especially at a time during a pandemic? Well, today is going to be about me trying to unpack that a little bit and put it into some perspective so that you have an understanding of how I got where I am today. So let's get started. Grab yourself a tea or a coffee or some water and let's have a chat. My background, how did I get to where I am today? Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of history first of all. I am not a fine arts major at all. I have a few credits that I did take in university. I was struggling to get my degree finished. I majored in psychology. And I had a meeting with my course counselor who told me that I was taking too many of all the same types of classes. Pretty much they were all psychology. She told me that I needed to diversify my portfolio and that I needed to expand and take some other credits. And I said I really had no desire to do that. I was never great in school. I really only had the attention span for things that I was interested in. And that's when she asked me, what did I enjoy? What were some things that I liked? And I said that art was really always important to me growing up. And she said, well, our arts department here, our fine art program is open. So if you wanted to take some courses and finish off your degree, you could. What? So I did. That's exactly what I did. I took some art courses. I took design, totally did not do well in that. Drawing, painting 1, painting 2. I also took color theory, which I hear most people detest, and I couldn't get enough of it. I absolutely loved color theory. So it was actually a professor who ran the arts program there who took, I don't want to say he took an interest in me, but first of all, he was really confused as to why I showed up into his painting class. And I remember him saying to me, who are you? Why are you here? I mean, he was really polite about it, but he was a bit confused. So I shared him my story and he said, all right, well, let's see what you can do. So I like competition. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit competitive. And we were having a group exercise where it was a still life in the middle and we had to paint. Well, first we had to sketch out what we saw from our perspective in the room, and then we had to overlay with paint. And I had never really done that before. I had played around with watercolors, but we were using acrylics. I had never touched acrylic paint. This was my very first experiment in trying to do some washes, like Brazil style of painting. And that's really what we did. That class we focused on Renaissance style of painting. I'm like, what? And anyway, so when it came down to take up our exercise, he picked a couple of students, and to my surprise, he picked my painting and also shared, like after the group went by and everybody had some really wonderful things to say about my work, he really said some wonderful things about it and how impressed he was. At the very end, I'm going to fast forward, and I was going to be graduating. He had said to me, can you make me one promise? And I said, yeah, sure, anything. I mean, you were such a great mentor to me. He said, just promise me that when you're done school that you'll continue with art. And I said, all right, done. That's Lincoln. Lincoln says hi to everybody. I'm sure at some point he will meow during this video and you will all get acquainted with each other. All right, so that brings me to the end of my education. I was already working a full-time job and I made him a promise that I was going to continue with art, and I had no clue how to do that. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I kind of sat down and I wrote out a little bit of a plan. I set my goals for myself, and the goal I set for myself that year was that I wanted to make $5,000 from selling my art. I didn't have an idea of how I was going to do that yet. And so I did some research and I started looking online, and I went on to eBay and I started reading the forums. And through that, I found someone talking about this site called Etsy, E-T-S-Y. I'm sure you've all heard about it now. But back then, Etsy had just started in 2008. And so when I had a look there, I realized that it was kind of a cool little platform. It just felt really comfortable and homey and quaint. It wasn't saturated. The quality of things that people were making on there I thought were authentic and relatable. So, and the minimal risk too, 20 cents to list a painting. Your listing would stay for 30, 60, 90 days. I can't even remember, it was so long ago. And so anyway, before I listed my painting, what I did was I switched to abstract. And I really kind of thought about, throughout all the years that I had done art, drawings was really my thing. I love to sketch. Unfortunately, I don't have any of my pen drawings, but I do have a couple of pencil drawings that you can see here. And I really was tight and restricted, and I wanted to capture the image exactly how it was supposed to be seen. Even in our last project, in our university class, we did, again, it was Renaissance style of painting. And here's one that I did as an example. It was for my final. I had to do 3 of them. So this is just one of them. But it wasn't holding my interest. I found it more frustrating than anything that I knew what the image was going to be like, I guess. I could have distorted it and I could have altered it. I could have used different colors, but it wasn't where my heart was. When I looked back at my history throughout the years of taking art, like in elementary school and high school, whenever we took up art history, I always gravitated towards the abstract. And I thought it was such a fascinating world to create images from nothing, and how they would overlay textures and come up with these complex layers that just drew you in. And that really is what resonated with me. And I thought that maybe I should give it a try and see what abstracts would be like. And that's what I started doing. I picked my medium, which was acrylic paint, and I worked solely on canvas. And I started painting and painting and painting and painting. I painted so much I can't express to you. I had just canvas tacked everywhere to the wall, canvas, and I was going to town. I didn't care about the floor, I didn't care about the walls, and I just painted and painted and painted. Let's get back to selling, because this is where I know you guys are totally listening about. When I felt that I had some sort of a style and a body of work that I was proud of, that's when I decided that I was going to take the plunge to list onto Etsy. And let me tell you, I didn't take that lightly. It wasn't, the internet isn't what it was back then. There was no Instagram, there was no Twitter. There could have been Twitter. I don't remember what's back there, but I think it was Flickr, which is still around today. But it wasn't, I don't even think Facebook had just started. Facebook was I didn't even have a Facebook account at the time. And so the thought of posting one of my paintings onto this site was terrifying. I can't express that. It was terrifying. I'm going to say it again. The thought of posting one of my paintings online onto a website for the world to see was terrifying. And I just remember holding, my hand there on the mouse, and I couldn't press it. And so I kind of sat back and I thought about what is going on? Why don't you want to list this painting? And I felt so vulnerable. I felt exposed. Like that painting was a part of me, and it came from me. It was my creation. It was nobody else's. It was in my head. That image was in my head, and I painted it onto canvas. It was a really weird feeling and surreal and scary. But I finally, calmed myself down and said, really, the whole world is not going to see this one painting. Just post it. And whatever happens, happens. Just let it go. And so I took my mouse and I went. A couple of weeks later, that painting sold. And so in 2008, I sold a good amount of paintings. My business plan, and I had a business plan right from day one. First was to solidify my work, to make sure that I was creating a cohesive body of work that I was proud of. And I waited until I was ready to do that. My second part of my business plan was I was a nobody. Nobody knew my work. I had no letters behind my name. I was not a fine art student. I was not a fine art major. I had no degree, no college education in regards to art. I didn't feel like my paintings were worth a lot of money. And truly they weren't. I was a nobody, I had some talent in making some abstract paintings. I just wanted to sell them. And the reason I wanted to sell them at that point was I knew I wanted to be an artist, but I wanted to get better at my paintings. And in order to do that, you needed to buy painting supplies. And painting supplies were really expensive. And the amount that I was painting, I felt that if I just sold my paintings, maybe one or two, if I listed them really cheap, I would be fortunate enough to sell some paintings. And that in turn would give me some money to buy some more supplies so that I could keep painting. I just wanted to keep painting. It wasn't even about the money for me. It kind of goes against what I'm saying, that I want to be a full-time artist and do this as a career, but yet money wasn't at the forefront of my brain. And I need to kind of unpack that a little bit. It wasn't the top priority for me because I was still working on my craft. I was still learning. I was still exploring my signature style. I was still becoming who I am as an artist. Money wasn't really at the forefront. It wasn't quite there yet. Not that it is now, but I mean, the important part was letting the work shine, was developing the body of work and establishing myself as an artist. The money is a side effect of all of those things. Shortly after that I realized, okay, I think that maybe I could do this and I could really actually become a full-time artist. And so that's when I decided to sell my house and I moved to Southern Ontario at the end of 2009, July. I moved to Southern Ontario. And then I took a little bit of a break. I mean, why wouldn't I? I had just moved from Sault Ste. Marie and I moved to Southern Ontario. I went from a population of 80,000 people to like 2.5 million. Crazy. And I still hate driving on the roads here today. So after that, in 2014, I decided that it was time to get back on my feet, start pursuing this like with a vengeance. It was on. Toronto, I was coming for you. Okay, so number one, I'm gonna give you a couple of tips to help you get started. And so the first thing I'm gonna say to you is that you need a website. You need a website. The first thing I'm gonna say to you is you need a website. And on that website, it's going to really be important for you to have your biography, your curriculum vitae, and your artist statement. And I'm thinking, do I have those things on my website? I think my CV is gone from there, but at some point I'll put it back up. With your website, you're going to have to pick a domain name. And you don't want a website that has like the business advertisement still in the name. You want a personalized website name. And this is key. I can't tell you. It's so key. I wish somebody would have told me this so long ago. Because if you all look at my domain name or my website name, it's lauriemirabelli.com. Well, let's think about this. I think I've had that name now for probably 6 years. Who's Laurie Mirabelli? Do you hear the crickets? Nobody knows me. At the time, nobody knew me. So why would I pick a domain name that was just Laurie Mirabelli? What you need to do is you need to link that with what you're doing. I should have picked Laurie Mirabelli abstract artist, Laurie Mirabelli modern art, Laurie Mirabelli contemporary art. That could have been my name for my website. Lots of people who want to buy paintings search in Google. And when they're searching in Google, what are they going to look for? What is the tagline, keywords that you're going to search? So like abstract art, local artist, where to buy art, all of those things. So if you can combine one of those keywords and put it together with your own name, your website domain name now has a searchable keyword in it, which is golden. And I don't have that. So that is a huge important tip for you. So make sure if you're still new to it and you have time to change it, I would change it now, is link your name with a keyword of what your niche is, what you're working on, what your medium is, what your business is about. The second thing that you need to decide is what type of website is going to be right for you. Again, this is something that I wish I had known back in the day. I didn't understand anything about Google or search engines or algorithms or page speed. I had no clue what any of that meant. And so when I first developed my website, let's say I picked the wrong domain name. Second, I picked the wrong type of website. I went with Wix, and I didn't understand that Wix had challenges. First of all, it was very complicated to work in code. You actually couldn't really work in code. Hiring somebody to work on my website to move things around and to change things up was like crazy impossible. And even though people would say, oh, I can do this for you, I can do this for you, you would find one person that was completely honest and transparent, and they would tell you, get rid of Wix. Not only that, it was also the page speed, the time to load a page is so important in Google world. As you know, like think about this, we have become a society that wants things in an instant. And so the last thing you want is your website to, when it's trying to load up, you know, maybe the text comes in and then the photos come in and then the rest of the page loads. That's not good for Google. So at the end of 2019, I had made another choice for my business that I was going to switch over from Wix to Shopify. I knew that I wanted to continue selling online as part of my practice because I had started selling online. It's what I knew and what I had done for years, and I wanted to be able to continue that. And so I did my research this time, and I took my domain name that's not paired with a keyword, and I migrated over to Shopify. Third thing that I did is Instagram. So Instagram kind of blew up on me. If you guys have been following me, you know that kind of took place. And so many of you have been asking, like, what are you doing? What has changed? Please share with me. I want to know how you're selling your work. I have a pretty good following on Instagram, and here are some of the things that I changed coming into this year. And this goal was that I was going to work on my online presence. I wanted Google to like my website and to give me organic growth and traffic. And so one of the things that in my quest that I found, my little secret, it's not really secret because you can see it on my Instagram, is that I don't have my name as my name. I have changed that to be keywords. And so my name right now is Abstract Paintings for Sale. And so every now and then, maybe once every 3 months or once every 4 months, I will change that to a different keyword. And remember, the keywords are what you think other people will be searching for. So my niche is abstract art, so I'm trying to get those clients that are searching for abstract art. And so I did find that has helped my growth. The other thing that I did was I worked on my photos. I know I don't like having my photo taken, and it's hilarious that I'm sitting in front of a camera right now recording myself. This is not something that comes easy to me, and this is not something that I enjoy at all. But I knew that having a psychology background, that when the pandemic hit, people were really frightened, people were upset. And when we do that, or when we're in that state, is we want comfort, and we want comfort from other people. But at the time we were, and still, to be apart. And so I thought of all times for me to take photos of myself and post them on Instagram so that I can almost be there for the viewer that was looking at my work, so that it wasn't just my artwork. People wanted human connection more than anything. And what I did was I just paired my art with me. We became one. It wasn't just someone looking at canvas now. They were looking at the face of the person that created the art. And I think that really did a huge thing for my Instagram. Like before this happened in March, I was about 14,000 followers, and now I'm almost at 47,000. I first changed my name to a keyword. The second thing that I did was I started taking photos of myself with my artwork. That did a couple of things. It gave my work different context, that I was actually a real person, and It also gave someone a glimpse into the size of the painting. As you know, I paint very large. The other thing that I did was I became very consistent with my posting. I used to post maybe once a day. I never posted once a day back then. It was be more like 3 times a week. It just didn't dawn on me about posting at regular times, is that it's really important to the algorithms of Instagram that you are consistent with your posting, especially now. There have been some changes that have happened over the last year where if you aren't consistently posting, your work doesn't get seen by people. So what you need to do is find the best time for you to post. Your insights will show you the best time for you to post. So I don't know what it's like for other people in different countries or different parts, but I can tell you for me here in Toronto, posting at 8 in the morning, maybe at noon, and if I'm really good, sometimes at 6 or 5. And also I'm not painting every day a new painting. It's just not possible for me to do. I can paint, but I can't paint that much. You have to be creative and coming up with different ideas to post, because if you're not painting a new painting every day, then what are you going to post twice a day? What do you have to post twice a day? If you're trying to be a professional artist, your Instagram needs to be a business account. Switch it over. You can do that in the settings. The other thing is, if it's a business account, and this is for your art, then you should really only be posting your art, yourself, your paints, your ideas, and you should try and cover these 3 topics. First of all, you want to promote yourself, you as an artist, your face, that you're an actual human being, that there is a person behind the art. The second is you want to make sure that you're posting very good photos, that you're not just taking a photo and posting it. You're going to crop it. You're going to adjust the brightness, the contrast. Those are all key things to make sure that your photos are optimized. The third thing that you should include in some of your Instagram posts has to do with education and giving back. It shouldn't be always a one-way avenue of you just promoting your artwork. So maybe sharing some things that you're working on, things that you're interested in, some of the art mediums that you use, or how you do certain marks. That can all be really interesting for other artists who are following your account and can really increase your growth. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is the in situ apps. I know a lot of you are still using them there, but if your goal is to increase your following on Instagram, I have noticed that when I use them, I got no traffic when I would post my artwork inside of the app program and then list it onto my Instagram. I can tell you right now that Instagram does not like those apps. It really blocks how many people it shows my post to when I'm using a third-party app. I'm not sure if some of you are aware, but Instagram does have a policy that it only allows approved third-party apps. So I have stopped using those probably about 6 months ago, maybe even a little bit longer. I make sure that when I am posting a photo that it's my own photo, making sure that I'm not using a third-party app when I post to Instagram. That's just food for thought. I know they really look good, and it really does give a buyer a little bit more insight as to how that painting would look, but I would just be really cautious about posting too much with third-party apps. So that's it. I really hope you enjoy this week's video and that there were some useful things in there to help grow your business and increase your traffic on Instagram. And I just want to say, if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, post a comment down below, and I will see you guys next week.